Here we're taking a look at the back of the tractor for hydraulic hookup. The bottom hose down here that we're looking at, this is our case drain hose, and this hose is the one that we need to be plugging in first, and that's the pressure-free return for your Vac Motors and your CCS fans. So it's really important that that one is plugged in anytime the hydraulics are going to be used on the tractor. The one right above it, this one is a motor return for the Vac Motors, and they have to be teed together. Our left and right motors are teed together, and then it goes into this plug right here. So again, the case drain is going to be the flat face, and then these two happen to be teed together and are going into a motor return. Now moving on up here, we're on number one. Obviously is going to be your planter frame raise and also your CCS fan operation. Moving up to the next one, these are our markers, are plugged into number two. Now notice how the yellow tags are all on the right side and the green tags are all on the left side. Now we move up to our vacuum on number three and number four. These happen to be split out, and the vacuum pressure is on the right hand side. This is our left vac and our right vac. This way you can click forward with your detent on your tractor, and then it will go ahead and fire up your vacuums. And then to shut it down, you want to go forward and into float. So again, notice the yellow tags here on the hoses are all on the right hand side, and the green tags are all on the left hand side. Now we're looking at the back of the tractor with the electrical hookups. This one is our frame control. The lower one is the frame control. That's for your fold console to do your markers, your folding, and things of that nature. The next one is your seed star monitor, and it's going to be a 9-pin, and this has a little latch on it right here, and you want to make sure that that's seated when you hook it up. The next one is your 7-pin. Your 7-pin not only controls all your flashers and lights, but also that's where the planter gets power to fire all the electric solenoids that run all the hydraulic functions. So if you happen to have a problem with your planter and it won't fold, or it won't operate the markers or something, and nothing seems to work, check the fuse on your 7-pin because that is where the planter is getting its power for the fold. Now we're looking at the hydraulic panel in a 30 series tractor, and this will be similar in a 20 or a 10 or 100 series 8000 or a 9000 for that matter. What we're looking at is our 1, 2, 3, and 4 SCVs. The top one here, it has the rabbit and turtle with the flow, and then the bottom one has a little clock with 0 to constant. So number one, to select number one to set the time and flow for it, I press the number 1. And this is my raise and lower. It's currently set at 8.5 on the flow. I'm going to turn the flow all the way up to 10. And my time is set on constant. And that's where I want it for a CCS blower fan on the planter. Because when I lower the planter, that turns on my CCS fan. And when I raise the planter, that raises the planter up and shuts the fan off. Number 2 is going to be my markers. So I'm going to put number 2. It's currently set on 7.1. I'm going to turn that down to somewhere around 4 for my flow, because I don't want the marker coming up and banging really hard. So I'll turn it down to get it to 4 on my flow. And then my time is on constant. Well, I don't want that hydraulic oil just sitting there. Now the 30 series, they start all the way at 60 seconds. 20s and previous models went to 20 seconds before they became constant. So I'm going to turn this down all the way down to 12 on my time for my marker. So number 2 for my markers is set to 4 and 12 seconds. Now number 3 and number 4 are my Vac motors. So I'll press number 3. I'm going to turn my flow down to about 4 on it as well. And then my time, I need to set that on constant. So I turn it all the way, and again on the 30 series it's going to go all the way to 60 seconds. On previous models tractors, it stops at 20. Now number 4 needs to be set just like number 3, so I press number 4. I turn my flow down to 4. And I'm going to turn my time all the way to constant because I want that vac motor to run. So now I simply, for my Vac motors, I click the lever forward to detent, and that'll turn my vacs on for 3 and 4. And then number 2 is set for my markers for 12 seconds. Number 1 is set on constant. Okay, we want to set up our hydraulics for our planter now, and we happen to be in an 8R series tractor. Over here on the armrest, we've got several buttons, and I want to note a couple of them here. Number one is this hydraulic cylinder. That's the button we're going to press to get us to the screen that enables us to operate our hydraulics. We also have a couple others over here. We have a check mark. We've got our scroll wheel right here. We've got our cancel button, which is the X, and we have a menu button, a home button, as well as all of the letters. Now, so what I'm going to do to get my screen up so I can adjust my hydraulics is I'm going to press this hydraulic cylinder. Now what I've done is I've just activated the current screen you see for my SCVs. This tractor has 4 SCVs, and you can see them listed here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I also have my flow and my time, much like previous 8000 series tractors. Now over here on my armrest, you saw that scroll wheel. Now what I'm doing is I'm moving this little green box around by turning that scroll wheel to the desired position. So I'm going to highlight the flow rate for number 1. I'm going to hit the check mark over here on the armrest to activate that. Right now my flow is set to 3.6. Now number 1 is going to be my raise and lower and my CCS fan. So I'm going to take my thumb wheel over here, my scroll wheel, and I'm going to run that all the way up to 10. Alright, when I get it to the setting that I want it, which is 10, I'm going to hit the check mark to lock it in. Now I'm going to move over here to my time. Now again, because this has a CCS fan on it, I'm going to want to have that on the continuous setting. So that one's going to be where I want it to be, so I'm going to leave it set. I'm going to use my scroll wheel to go down to number 2, and notice it's highlighted in green. That's going to be for my marker. Now I hit my check mark to select it, and it's set on 9.16, and that's probably a little much for a marker. Marker is probably going to need to be somewhere in that 4.5 range, so I don't bang and beat it when I raise it up. Once I get it set where I want it, I hit the check. It's now solid green. Now I'm going to go over here and set my time. And I'm going to, probably on most markers, around that 12-second mark. So I hit the check mark to select. That's what I did. I highlighted it with my thumb wheel. I hit the check mark to select it. And I'm going to go down here to about 12 seconds. I hit the check mark. Now I've just set number 2. Using my scroll wheel, I go on down to number 3. I highlight it in green. I hit the check mark. And again, this number 3 and number 4 are going to be for my Vac Motors. So I'm going to turn the flow down on that Vac to probably to a starting point of somewhere around 4. So I just use my thumb wheel to get it up, to set it where I want it. Once I get it, I hit the check mark to lock it in. I use my scroll wheel to highlight the time. And again, for a vacuum motor, I would want that to be in constant. Scroll down to number 4. I highlight this in green. I hit the check mark. And same thing, I'm going to turn the flow down to somewhere around 4 to get started with my vac, and then once I get the planter operating, I'll know better based on seed size and my disc and what crop I'm planting. Once I get it set to 4, I hit the check mark. My D10 is in constant. And now once I get all that done, there's a home button over on the armrest. I press the home button. That gets rid of my hydraulic screen. Now I'm back to my run page on my tractor display.